Hello and welcome. So this is part 3 of our series. So we are learning about how to deploy the Python application in a production ready environment, in a production ready setup. Whenever we talk about production setup, the first thing that should come into our mind is VPC and how to configure subnets, routing, and all of these things. Basically security related stuff as far as our VPC is concerned. So we will learn in this video about how to create a VPC and all of its components by the help of Terraform. So we have two main goals in this video. First is to configure the Terraform, to initialize the Terraform. First is this. Second is to understand the basic things about VPC so that when we write the code of Terraform, we can understand actually what's happening behind the scene. We will create VPC by console, and then in the third step, we will write the code to create VPC with the help of Terraform code. So let's get started. All right, so let's start with installing the Terraform first, and then we'll move ahead with other things. So there can be two ways to install the Terraform. One, we can do it by the Docker file, and other we can directly install the Terraform in our system. So if you are on Mac OS, you have to write brew tab hashicop tab and then brew install hashicop tab Terraform. By this you can install the Terraform directly. Then by the help of Chocolate, you can install it in Windows by choco install Terraform. On Linux, you have to do it by the help of sudo apt-get, and manually you can also install the same. So I will recommend these three ways according to your OS. Now in our VS Code, I will create a separate command prompt for Terraform. Here I will have Terraform list. So we don't have anything, but we have the Terraform install. You can also check it by Terraform version. Anyways, what Terraform do basically is that Terraform helps us to create resources by the help of code. Let's say if you have to create EC2 instance, you can go to the console and then create, type the name, choose the OS type, set the storage, type the instance type, these sort of things, and then you hit create or create the instance, and then you get EC2 spinned up by the help of AWS. But that you are doing by the help of GUI. In case of Terraform, we are doing the same thing, not with the help of GUI, but with the help of the code that we'll write. So the Terraform is basically very simple. There are 2-3 blocks that I will tell you, and you will be pretty ready to use Terraform directly. All right, so let's get started. So first thing that we have to do is we have to write the Terraform block as well as the provider block. Like Terraform is platform agnostic. What I mean by platform agnostic, or this term is that it don't care which cloud provider you are using. You have to just write it, and the Terraform will spin up the resources as per the code that you have written. So it works for GCP, Azure, even it works for Snowflake type of things also, but it works for AWS as well. So we will go with AWS. So in our project folder, what we have to do is let's create a new, in our infra we can write main.tf file here. Okay, so main.tf file. So this is the Terraform file, main.tf. Here we have to write 2-3 things. So first is Terraform. This is the Terraform block, and in the Terraform block we have to store two very important things in this first block, that is Terraform block, that are the state and the bucket. So I will tell you these things. So our backend will be, I'm using S3 as the backend. All right, and in the S3 backend, I'm saying that my bucket name equal to Django API prod ready. Okay, I think we can get this name in AWS. The key will be app.tf state. Then the other thing will be region. So we can go with, let's go with US West 2. Then whether we want to encrypt it or, so yeah, if we want to encrypt it, so let's go with the true. And DynamoDB table. So the DynamoDB table, The name of the table you can give the same thing, Django API prod, with that this is a log table. What all of this doing? So let's understand this. So this is the Terraform log. We are saying that our state will be in S3. So S3 is our bucket, okay, that will store everything about our Terraform state. So let's say you create 10 resources, but how other developer in your team will be knowing that this person have already created 10 resources? Okay, so for that Terraform maintains a state file. So this basically maintains the state. Hey, I have these many resources. We will see the state files also, but this is the logical uh, grouping of all the resources that Terraform manage. Otherwise, what will happen? Terraform can't go to AWS and ask what all resources this particular user have. That will be tricky. Otherwise, the best, I mean, the good way is to store those things in a particular uh, file, right? And that file is in bucket. Other thing is this DynamoDB table. So this helps us to maintain the log. Let's say when you are doing a particular deployment on Terraform, someone other from your team can't do so. So it maintains a log that this particular infrastructure is getting updated by someone. So any other person will not be able to update simultaneously. For that, we need this DynamoDB table. Now, from where these are coming, so obviously we have to create those, and we have to create those manually. All right, these tables can't be created dynamically. So let's go with it. In S3, we have to create a bucket, and the bucket name will be that we copied this one, Django API prod ready. So, and the region, we can go with the US/2. Other thing that ACL's enabled, yeah, and yeah, this is important, that we should have block access, because we don't want public to see what all resources we have in our infrastructure. So we will block these access, enable the versioning, and rest all the things will be same. So here you go. So now this is our bucket. Now we have to do the same. Let's create one new tab, and we have to create the DynamoDB table as well. So let's go to Dynamo. Here we can create a table, and the table name will be slash log, and the partition key will be log ID. Nothing else we have to change here. That's all. So now we have, okay, one more. Okay, yeah, I've added the log. That's it. All right. So now we have the Dynamo TV table ready and the S3 also ready. So these two things are required. This to manage the log, and this to store our state of the Terraform. Now let's go to Terraform code once again. So now all of the rest things are fine. Okay, so this configures our Terraform block, provider block. So we'll write required provider, and the required provider there will be AWS, and we'll write source. So this is one of the plugin from HashiCorp. So we'll say HashiCorp AWS, and the version we are picking up version 4.41. So it is 4.41.0. All right, you can try with some other version, latest version also. Some code might change, so keep that in mind. And the important part is that this required provider block also comes inside the Terraform block. Okay, so let's move it right here. Okay? So there you go. And one thing also we can do is we can save this, and we have to initialize the Terraform, and then we can format the code also. So let's try to format here. Terraform FMT should work. Okay, not working. Maybe because we are not in the infra folder, I guess. So the present working directory is this. So let's go to infra, and then again type Terraform format. Yeah, so it now it formatted. Okay, so we don't have to format it manually. We can use the FMT command. So the first command that we have learned from Terraform, that is Terraform FMT. Okay. So this also says that our configuration and our code is correct, a kind of a validation. Anyways, so now we have stated our backend is S3, our required provider is this. Now let's go ahead by initializing the Terraform. To initialize the Terraform, we also need access to AWS, and for that we have to create a user, and that user is IAM user. So let's try to initialize at this point, Terraform init. Now this is the first command that you do, Terraform init. It initialize it, it fetches the version, it downloads everything here in .terraform. We don't have to change anything. It also manages this tf state folder here, and now it have downloaded the provider. Okay, because this is kind of a plugin, right? Now the Terraform has been successfully initialized. So for our reference, there's a command file. So let's write a new block here, Terraform, and we have learned Terraform init, the first command to start Terraform plugin, to download and to initialize, in simple words. All right. Then we'll learn the Terraform FMT to format the code, and then we can see Terraform validate also, Terraform apply. Okay, these type of things, and Terraform list to list out all the environments or the workspace in the Terraform language. But anyways, we'll jump ahead to this file once again later. All right, so now let's create a Bastion host. So what Bastion host will do is it will be our point to jump over to private subnets. So we will talk about these things, but I want to create an EC2 for you with the help of Terraform. So for now, think of it as a simple EC2 virtual server. Okay. So here we'll create a new file, that is bastion.tf, and here we will write the code to create an EC2, that is Bastion host. All right. So for that, now one simple thing to do to learn Terraform is to go with the Terraform official documentation. We can come to this AWS docs, and if we come to AWS instance, we can see this. So there are two things. One is this data, and another is this resource. Whenever we have to fetch something from AWS, we will use this data. All right. And when we have to create, we have to use the resource. So what will happen is, in the case of EC2, what we do is, if we have to create with the help of graphic user interface, we type the name of the server that we want to create. Then we write that it is Mac OS or Ubuntu or Linux, whatever it is. Then in the case of Linux, we will select the AMI, right? And this is the AMI 08052. So these AMIs are AWS created, and we use these images to create our instances. We can create our own image also, but to initialize fresh, we use the AMI of the AWS itself, and that AMI we have to fetch first. So this data block says that we are getting it from the AWS. AWS AMI is the fixed name. You can't change it. It is here, AWS AMI. Okay. So because it is AWS AMI, so that's why its name is AWS AMI. And this is the name that you can give yourself. This is like your name. You can give it anything. Okay. And then we are filtering it on the basis of name and some value, like this Ubuntu focal, something like something this. And in the virtualization type, so you can add as many filter as you want, but, because in this also there can be other virtualization type also, but you want some specific, or the owners you can give also, right? So this is just to fetch the AMI. Okay. Now when you create the AWS instance, what you do, you give it a name. So this is the same name that you will give here, and you say that data dot aws ami dot ubuntu dot id. So this is your AMI that you have to pass from this block. So we'll use the same thing. Okay. And the type, instance type, you will give t2.micro, t2.medium, t3.micro, like that, and some tags. So let's talk about these tags, because I want to give certain tags to my environment. They will be helpful to identify the resources later. All right. So we'll go with the tags first. then we'll create this data block to create the Bastion host, and then we'll create the resource. All right, so let's go to VS Code. So I want to create some generic tags. That's why I'm here beside this. So I have added a provider block for AWS. The region is this, and I have written the locals. So this locals will be used by all of my resource. This will be clear in next 5 minutes. But I want to use some variables and the workspace. So currently we don't have workspace. Workspace is just like environment, like dev, QA, or prod. Okay, and some common tags. So the environment name, the project, the owner, and managed by. Okay, so I'm writing my name. You can write Terraform also, because we are managing everything by the help of Terraform. And we have this important thing. We'll make sure that these things, common tags, are wrapped by every other resource. Okay, but before that, let's save this file. I want to add something in git ignore also. Terraform git ignore code can be copied from here or from Terraform official repo also. So I've added these things. Now let's come to one other thing, that is writing some variables. So as you know, we need to know these things: project, contact, and prefix. So we have to create these variables. These are prefixed by var dot. So we have to create a new file, variables.tf. Okay, and here we'll create a variable block. Inside variable, the name will be first name will be prefix. So all of our APIs will be prefixed by this, and the default option, default is, let's name it backend. So we are writing it for backend, and let's name a project also. So variable project, and then default value will be equal to backend APIs, and one other name was contact. So let's create that also, contact. So you can give default value to your mail ID or something. So let's write mine, that is com. So I'm writing the website contact to me, and let's see if something is missing. So only this Terraform workspace is missing. Okay, so Terraform, in Terraform we have workspace idea. So workspace are just like environment. So we will create the new workspace. So how to create the new workspace? Let's add that to our command. That is Terraform workspace, then new, and the name of the workspace. Okay, so here the name will come, for example, dev. I'm writing everything down in little bit detail as much as possible. And to select a Terraform, like let's say you have 2 3 workspaces, so we can do uh, select. So you have to write select, simple, and dev. Okay, so that's all. Then if you do Terraform work list, you will get all the listed idea, listed workspace. And to delete, you can just delete. So Terraform workspace list and Terraform workspace delete. Make sure you are not on the same workspace on which you are deleting. Okay, so let's write Terraform workspace new and dev. So we are initializing our environment with the help of dev. So there you go. So now it is saying that you are on a new empty workspace. To isolate the state, that is in switch to dev. So it is have created and switched to the dev. All right, so now what I can do, if I do Terraform list, now I should have dev. All right, and okay, let's create the Bastion.tf also. So to create that, so first we need, okay, so first we'll need the AWS AMI, that is Linux type. So I'm writing it AWS Linux, but you can say this is my AWS AMI. You can search this also in AMI. Okay, the owner is Amazon, and we are filtering on the basis of name. This is the name. Okay, and I'm taking the most recent. So this will get me AMI that I will use to create the AWS instance. And to create the AWS instance, what I have to write is I have to write the resource section, and the name is AWS instance. Okay, and my name will be Bastion here in this case. And here I can add the things, and the first will be IAM, not instance pro, but AMI. So let's go with the AMI first, and the AMI will be, as you know, data dot AWS AMI, data dot AWS AMI dot Amazon Linux dot ID. So data dot AWS AMI dot Amazon Linux dot ID. Next is I have to give the instance type. So I can give any instance type. I'm giving here, let's say t2.micro. Okay, then I can give user data also. I can give subnet ID, key name, these type of things also. Let's give it the key name. The key name will be variable dot. I'm taking it from the variable. So let's take it Bastion key name. Okay. And here we have to do one thing, that I want to add tags also. And to add the tags, I can just use this, that tags equals to merge all of my common tag from the local. And where are they? Here. Okay, this plus name should be local prefix dot bastion. Okay, so there you go. Again, whenever we do these things, we have to first format. Now it is formatted, you can validate. So it is saying that there's an error. What's the error? That we have not defined the variable this, and it's right. So let's define it, variable, and the name is Bastion key name, as you can see here, and the default value will be equal to Bastion key. Okay, so we don't have this Bastion key in our AWS, so we have to create it, because you want to use it, so we have to create it. Okay, so that we can use it later also. So here we have a simple thing. You can create a new key pair also. I can write Bastion key, and this is a PAM file, so create this. We have the Bastion key downloaded as well as created, so we will use it because we have to SSH into the private subnets, so this will be required later. All right, so this much is done. Now one thing that we need is our IAM user, so that we can create the resources. So let's go to our VS Code. We'll need AWS. Here we have to provide the access key IDs, secret key, these type of things. So in the last video we have done it to give the IAM user certain things. So let's go and check those things out. So in our users, so it have administrative action for now, but I will remove these and I will give only those things which are necessary. Okay, so because I have this configured, I have the secret key also, I have AP South one, so let's give it US West 2, the region, and output format, let's make it JSON also. They're all fine, but here the point is, I'm saying that all the effects should be allowed on all the resources, and this is very bad. Okay, but it is on its name, that is administrative access. Okay, so let's go again and do Terraform plan. So it is saying to me that it will create this Bastion instance with this AMI. All of these things will be known later on. Public IP will be known later on. Tags will be there here, and now this is the key point. As you can see, the tags will get its prefix, that is uh, environment will be, you can see, dev managed by, here it is coming here. Okay, name is backend dev Bastion. Why so? Because we have this backend prefix, then environment, and the name that we have given there. Owner is coming and the project name is coming. Okay, so if so whenever you have to type So whenever you have to create the resource, what you will do is you will do Terraform plan and then Terraform apply. So let's type Terraform apply. So it will create the Bastion host for us. It is asking me whether I want to go ahead or not. So it is saying that plan is to add one, nothing to change, nothing to destroy. So yes, I want to go ahead. Let's hit yes. It is saying that Bastion key does not exist. So invalid key value pair. Okay, but I've created it. Let's check. Here I can go to EC2. Then in the key pairs, yeah, we have Bastion key created. This is East region, US East one, but we are creating in US West 2. So I created this in wrong place. So let's delete it. Whenever you are in such confusions, you can also use AWS console commands. But for now, let's go to Oregon region, US West 2. And in the Oregon, let's create a new key pair. And the key pair name will be Bastion key. Now we have this is the correct one, anyways. And now let's try again. To search whether our key exists or not, you can use AWS EC2 command. AWS EC2, then describe the key pair. The key name is Bastion key, and the region is US West 2, not 1. So let's type 2. And as you can see here, we have the data. So now I think we can apply. Now it is creating the Bastion host. Till it is creating, we have to make sure one thing that this Bastion host is not the right one that we will create, because we have to create Bastion host in one of our VPC for our dev environment. Okay, so we have to delete it later, but I want to make use of these two blocks, data block and the resource block, and want to realize you how Terraform works. And now you have the a good configuration for main.tf file also. So let's go to our AWS. Let's jump over to EC2. It must have that that created now. Okay, now we have one instance running. As you can see, the name is dev backend Bastion. The important point to note is that these values are coming from here. The prefix was backend, the project was backend API. Okay, so if I select it, you can see tags. So environment is dev, project is backend API. Okay, owner, these type of things will come up. We are creating the name because we created name by the help of name is equal to whatever the prefix is, and then append the Bastion later on. Now that's why we have the prefix plus Bastion attached to the string. Okay, so there you go, and the status is initializing. These type of things are coming up here, and the key is Bastion key. Now you understand how we create resources by the help of Terraform. Now we can delete this one. Okay, one thing, now we have the state files also, the Terraform state file, and you can see it is using this bucket to save all of our state. Okay, and the region is US West 2. And now you can destroy the applied things also. So we're to write Terraform destroy. In the meantime, let's go to, so it's always first acquire the state, okay, from by the help of DynamoDB table. So let's go to main.tf file, and in the main.tf file we have to realize one more important thing is how these locals are working with each other. Okay, so okay, in the it is saying that if you want to delete it, these things will be deleted. So I guess we are good to go to this to delete this. It had a public DNS also, the public IP also. Now these things are getting filled up. Okay, so we can go, yeah, I want to delete. So yes, let's destroy it. You can see it will add nothing, change nothing, but destroy the one thing, that is Bastion host. So it is saying that destruction complete after 33 seconds. So now it is releasing the lock that was achieved before. So now it have been, the resource have been destroyed. So if we go back and if we refresh, it is gone. Okay, so no instance is running currently. Okay, it has been terminated. All right, so this is a basic introduction to the Terraform. So now let's go to VS Code in our command files. Now you know what else we have learned. We have learned Terraform, validate, we have learned Terraform plan, we have learned Terraform apply. We can give like this also, no input. We can provide this in CI/CD pipelines. So this is about Terraform basic setup. Now we have to jump over to very important thing and the last thing, that is VPC.